Are you looking to spice up your holiday gift giving and your recipes?
Well, today we're going to use guar gum to make a great holiday gift, and we're going to have a special guest to show you a great holiday soup here on WTF. Hello and welcome to WTF, where we transform food here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen. I'm Chef Scott Guarin.
And I'm Janie Wang, the owner of Modernist Pantry. Today Scott and I are going to have a very special ingredient for you called guar gum. So we're going to be demoing some soups, some hot chocolate, and what else do we have in the kitchen today, Scott?
We actually have a very special guest, a friend of mine, Chef Bissonnette, chef turned photographer. So we'll have him on in just a few minutes to demo a recipe from his upcoming book.
Yeah, so definitely stick around for that. And with that, let's get into guar gum a little bit. Okay. So what exactly is guar gum?
So guar gum is the gum from the guar plant, the seed of the guar plant. So it's pretty simple in that aspect. And what it does is it's a thickening agent, which it can thicken anything from cold liquids to hot liquids, and it can also work really well with creamy items, making things creamy. So people like to ask, what gum do I use for what?
Right.
And this is one that if you want to make something creamy that isn't necessarily creamy, which we're actually going to demo here with our hot chocolate, we're turning water into something that has a little bit of a creamy aspect without having to add milk or milk powder, for those of you who can't have it, like Janie.
Yes,
so,
not have it.
So it's really great in that aspect. And a basic usage ratio for guar gum, it has quite a range, so 0.1 to 1.5%. So you can go from a very small amount, if you're just slightly thickening something, up to almost like a pudding consistency.
Okay, and for guar gum, do you have to hydrate it? Do you have to heat it? How do you incorporate it?
So you can whisk it in, especially if you use perfected guar gum. So we have two different guar gums here at Modernist Pantry. The traditional, which you usually have to use a hand blender, which we have here. But the perfected is great because it doesn't have that beanie flavor that you can sometimes get from guar gum, and you can just whisk it in, or you can add it with a spoon, into your hot cocoa and just mix it right in, and it'll work.
Yeah, definitely. And I think so for when you talk about guar gum and the beanie flavor, it is something that people complain about when it comes to guar, because it's fairly natural and it can have a flavor. So if you don't want any flavor, perfected guar is actually the only guar gum on the market that's going to have a zero entirely clean flavor profile.
Yes, and that's one of those, it comes from beans, so generally it's going to have a beanie flavor, but we talk a lot about gluten-free baking here on WTF, and sometimes the biggest downfall is that beanie flavor. So if you do use guar gum in your gluten-free baking, definitely check out the perfected guar gum.
Yeah, and aside from gluten-free baking, what are some of the common uses of guar?
So kind of what we're doing today, adding it to a liquid just to slightly thicken it, that's the main use of guar gum. And if you wanted to, like we're going to be showing in a demo in a few moments, is add it to a soup to just get a little bit more viscosity without having to, say, add extra heavy cream or anything else that's heavy. You can just add this right in, and it thickens it up.
That's very cool. So we have a couple of demos for you today. So the first one I'm excited about because I'm told I get to do something on camera. What am I doing, Scott?
So homemade hot chocolate is one of these things that there are a lot of recipes on the internet, but generally the recipe is made and it has cornstarch in it, or it has a lot of milk powder in it. And we add guar gum, the perfected guar gum, to it. First off, to get rid of that beanie flavor that we don't want from the traditional guar gum, and the ability to just take it and then mix it right into your liquid, whether it be milk or water. Generally, the ones that have cornstarch in them, you have to mix in a small amount, mix it in very well, and then add the rest. But when you're making hot cocoa, generally you don't want to do that. You want to take it, either it comes out of the package or whatnot. With this, you can just put it right in, which Janie's going to do here, which is great. So about 2 tablespoons to 8 ounces of water, you can just put it right in there.
There you go. Look at my cooking skills.
Yes, and the best part about this, it's so simple to make and then also use that we have a little Christmas gift here, a little option for people who, want to give a stocking stuffer or whatnot. This is 8 ounces of our hot cocoa mix that you can find the recipe on the blog, and we just put it into a mason jar. We put a little bit of decorations on it. You can give it to your friends for Christmas.
Yeah, and I cannot stress enough, like, I'm lactose intolerant, so I can't have really anything with milk in it. And then usually when I get hot chocolate, it's watery, right? Because there's
Yes.
nothing in there to thicken it up. Whereas this right now is like a really, I don't know if you
Yeah.
can see it, but it's a really nice consistency.
Yep, and it's just a little bit of thickness to it. You obviously don't want it to be, chewable hot chocolate, but you want it to have a little bit of thickness to
Right.
it so that, it feels like it's made with cream or milk.
Yeah, definitely. And for this recipe, how much guar is in here? And if people, wanted to like kind of play around with a little bit,
That's about 1 to 1.5%. So, I'm sorry, about 0.5 to 1%. So just a little bit to give a little bit of viscosity to it, but that's also to the entire recipe and
So good.
not to adding it to the water. So there's it's going to be great for your hot cocoa, but you're not going to end up with a pudding consistency. And the good thing about this is if you want it more chocolatey, you can add that. If you want it to be a little bit thinner or a little less chocolatey, you can add a little bit less. So.
Yeah, so wonderful, wonderful holiday stocking stuffer idea. So you can like make these in these make like a huge batch of them, mix them up, put them in these little mason jars. This is so cute. Scott did this, by the way. It's super cute. And you'll be everybody's best friend because they're going to have wonderful homemade hot chocolate and they'll be very grateful for it.
Great.
Yeah.
So shall we bring on our guest?
Yes. So our special guest today is Derek. So if you've ever been on our Instagram, you've seen these beautiful, beautiful photos. That's all Derek. The kind of like okay photos. That's usually me. But yeah, so Derek, let's bring him on here as he's walking up. Come on, Derek. Come on in.
So Derek is a chef of 23 years. He was the executive chef at the White Barn in Kennebunk, Maine, which is a really amazing restaurant.
Yeah, was it 4 diamond, 5 diamond?
5 diamond.
5 diamond
Yeah, it's
restaurant.
5 diamonds.
And he's also turned into a photographer, as you see by our Instagram or all of our social media. So Derek, thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, Derek. So the cool thing, one of the amazing things that Derek has done recently is that Derek has written a book that's all about soups. We got it right here. It is called The Soup, Ultimate Guide to Soups and Stews. You can get that on Amazon and also on Derek's website, which is?
www.dbmainphotography. If you'd like a signed copy, go straight to my website. Check it out.
Yeah, so Derek, scooch right in here. We'll make a little more room for you. What
Perfect.
are you showing us today?
We're doing, with the holiday season coming up, we've chosen a soup that showcases the nice goose. So it's a nice chestnut and goose soup. I was talking to Scott and I said a lot of trouble we were having with soups and how to do it was the viscosity, and he suggested that he has a great way to fix that.
Yep, so guar gum helps add viscosity. So we can see right here is the soup before we add guar gum, and it's got a little bit of thickness to it, but you see it runs really cleanly off that spoon. And I don't even have to touch it, and you can see all the stainless steel coming through. But when we add guar gum, which we see over here, it makes beautiful nappe, which is the proper thickness of a soup. So quickly, I'm going to demo how to add the guar gum to a soup. So this soup is warm. It's not boiling or anything like that. It doesn't matter if it's hot or cold. I just have an immersion blender and I submerge it, right? And then I just simply sprinkle in the guar gum. In just a few moments, it'll thicken up. So Derek, what do we do with the goose breast here?
So the breast, we took it off the bone. We used all the other parts to make the stock, which is the base of the soup with the chestnuts. The breast, we rendered the fat nicely down in a pan, so a nice lower temperatured pan. Cooked it down to render the fat, and then finished off with just a little bit of butter, and then just quickly in the oven to finish it off.
All right. And for people who don't have goose, can they substitute duck? Can they substitute chicken? What's acceptable when you don't have goose?
It's funny you ask. Any poultry would really work.
Okay.
In the actual book, the recipe is chicken, just because that's a little bit more accessible to you. But the original recipe that we used to do at the White Barn Inn is goose. So we thought that was most appropriate with the holiday season coming up.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to do a couple of nice slices
Yep.
of this beautiful goose breast.
It is delicious. We may have already eaten some earlier. But as Derek is cutting, so Derek, what type of people, would really benefit from the recipes in this book? What can they expect from it?
The book was really marketed toward the demographics of a home cook, but I think there's a lot of interesting stuff in for a professional chef as well. It's a lot of children's soups. The soups weren't really just to make smaller versions, but hopefully attract children that
Would want to learn how to cook.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really cool. And definitely I've been trying to get a copy for weeks now, and I keep forgetting to give Derek money for it. But I'm going to get a copy for myself. I'm going to get a copy for my mother-in-law. You know, I think this is a very accessible book for a lot of different people. You don't need to be a chef for 23 years, but if you are a chef for 23 years, I think you'll still get some stuff out of it, right?
I certainly
Oh,
hope
you have
so.
to tell people your story about Jose Andres.
Yes, I was actually at the Inn of Little Washington. I was welcomed there for the 40th anniversary. I was cooking my soup away, and in the corner I had my book, and all of a sudden I see this gentleman out of the corner of my eye, yet I was catering to the people that were in my line ready for the soup, and I wanted to speak to him directly. Little did I know it was Jose Andres. And as I looked up to go speak to him, when I finally had a free moment, I walked away and it was Jose Andres. Luckily he stuck around a little bit, and I was really excited to go up and talk to him and see what his thoughts were on the soup, and he said it was a 9.5 out of 10, so that was very humbling.
There you go. Unofficially, Jose Andres endorsed.
And Inn at Little Washington just received its 3rd Michelin star, so that's a great praise to be able to have worked there and then go back for the 40th anniversary.
Excellent.
Yeah,
So what are we doing with this soup? How are we putting it on the plate?
So it's a very, very simple presentation, as most often soups are. So I'm just going to fan out a little bit of that nice, beautiful duck breast that we did. Goose breast, I apologize. As we said, we can do any sort of poultry. A nice little roasted chestnut. The chestnuts we got nice and fresh. We scored them, let them dry out for a day, and then we just quickly roasted them in the oven to get that nice golden color. So I'm just going to pour that nice soup with that beautiful viscosity, as you'll see, right down the center, and
So it's very creamy.
Yeah, perfect for the holidays.
and the creaminess, you know, it's got very little bit of cream in it too, so a lot of it is in reference to the Guar gum.
Yep.
And just a couple little chestnuts around, so you get a little texture when you spoon up your mouthfeel, and there we go. I'd offer to Janie, but unfortunately it does have a little bit of dairy in it, so perhaps Scott's going to chow it down
I
later.
will eat all of it, yes, and all the
Yeah.
goose.
So kind of one of the nice things about having the Guar in this soup is that, you know, if you're trying to make a lot of it, it's easier in order to get that consistency every single time, because the Guar essentially makes the recipe foolproof, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
And if you're watching your calories, the Guar is far less
Yeah.
calories than adding straight heavy cream to a soup. So, and you can definitely get the viscosity out of it. Also, if you were to add like a roux, which is butter and flour, you're going to get all those flavors. But the Guar, especially the perfected Guar, which we used in this, doesn't have any extra flavor. So you're really just getting
Exactly.
chestnut and goose.
Yeah, and it looks wonderful. It is a perfect holiday wintertime dish. But the Guar and the recipes, you know, you can use that all year around. So again, if you do want to grab Derek's book, you can get it on Amazon or on the website, which is
www.dbmainphotography,
yep,
And
it's
that's
called,
Maine as in the state, right?
as in the state with an E.
Okay, and the book is called Soups: The Ultimate Guide to Soups and Stews. A very easy search. Yeah, is there anything else that we want to leave everybody here with? I feel like we've covered a lot today.
Yeah, again, the book has over 300 soup recipes.
That's a lot.
From around the world, a lot of different demographics that it's appropriate for, and written in a way that's hopefully easily adaptable for your home.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Derek.
Thanks for having me.
So from here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen, I'm Janie Wang.
And I'm Scott Guerin.
And I'm Derek Bissonnette.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. And if you want these great recipes and these awesome ingredients, first you're going to have to like, comment, and subscribe. And then you're going to go to blog.modernistpantry.com where you can find those awesome recipes and you can ask a chef. And to get these great ingredients, go to modernistpantry.com. And until next time, we'll be here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen helping you transform food.